I've been Jefferson curling for about 3 months now, and I wanted to share with you my honest review after putting in some serious time on this rather niche movement. I started off very light with this, as I'd recommend everyone do, and I progressed quite conservatively. But now after 3 months, I'm up to 46 kilograms for sets of 12, which is over half my body weight. So I'm still super early with my journey in this movement, as I do plan to take it at least to my body weight, and then beyond, but I am probably doing these a lot heavier than most of you out there. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about the good aspects, the bad aspects of working on the Jefferson curl, and then give you my final verdict of how useful it is in a training plan. But first, a word from one of our sponsors. Oh, hey there. I'm Jeff, and I'm pleased to announce that those luscious curls you've always wanted are now available in men's. Try Jeff Curls. It'll change your life. Before we get started, I want to address an important issue here, which is the huge amount of fear-mongering when it comes to spinal flexion movements in general, and specifically the Jefferson curl. A lot of people on the internet say that it's dangerous and that you should avoid it, but let's just think logically here. The human body has an incredible ability to adapt. And in fact, that's the whole point of physical training in the first place. That's why it works. When we expose our body to a stimulus and progress it over time, the body adapts. That's how physical training actually works. In exercise science, they call it the SAID principle, specific adaptation to imposed demands, but this is why when you lift weights, you can get stronger over time. This is why when you practice a sport, you can get better at it over time. Our body can learn. So why would your spine be any different? The muscles that perform spinal extension and flexion are just muscles, and they're just as adaptable as all of your other muscles. Am I saying that there's no limit here? Well, no. I don't think you'll be able to get your Jefferson curl as heavy as your conventional deadlift because it works smaller muscles, but you can drastically improve their performance from wherever they currently are. The property of adaptability in our body is precisely the reason that most people who have back pain actually have back pain, because their backs are really well adapted to what they actually do, which is sit a lot, and not well adapted to all of the things they want to do, but don't do. And then when these people try to do non-sitting activities, they overestimate how fit they actually are, they overshoot it, and then they experience pain or some sort of injury. The key here is to gradually expose your body to different stimulus, and not just dive into something that your body isn't prepared to do. So if you believe that you're currently fragile, and that you should remain fragile, then don't do Jefferson curls, and in fact, don't take any risks in your life. But if you believe that the way out is to become strong slowly over time by challenging yourself, then Jefferson curls can be a really potent stimulus and a really potent exercise to accomplish that feat. So here are the things I really like about training the Jefferson curl. First of all, and probably most important for most of you watching, my back feels better than it ever has. I had no history of previous back injuries or anything like that, but I would from time to time feel pretty stiff and sore after a full day of sitting down. 3 months later, I still sit just as much as I used to, but it's been at least 2 months since I've had any sort of back pain whatsoever. My back just feels mobile and sort of ready to go in most of the things I do. More specifically, I feel way stronger and more confident when my back is in spinal flexion. And this is because I'm actually training the Jefferson curl as a strength movement. I'm not just doing it with really light weights in order to promote mobility, I'm progressively overloading the weight and trying to get stronger at it. This is something that I was inspired by Atlas Power Shrugged in one of his videos. He's doing some shockingly heavy Jefferson curls, and that really inspired me. I'm really excited to see how far I can push this. So the amazing thing about this lift is that it helps you build more mobility in deep spinal flexion and also improves your ability to resist flexion. I think this is something that's often overlooked or misunderstood about the movement. People look at the eccentric portion of the movement and they realize that it's an effective stretch on the entire posterior chain. But when you progressively overload the weight on the concentric, it actually strengthens all of your posterior chain muscles. So every single muscle that's actually extending your back gets loaded by this, but in flexion positions. So the muscles we're working are the spinal extensors, but the range of motion goes from neutral to full flexion. So it's literally just a lengthened partial exercise for your back. But in contrast to most lengthened partials that we train, this is a range of motion in which almost everyone you know is extremely limited. Compare that to doing lengthened partials on, say, bicep curls. Still really effective for muscle growth, but most people who train that already have sufficient mobility to, say, straighten their arms. But very few who start out doing Jefferson curls can already touch their foreheads to their shins. So there's a huge amount of mobility to be gained here. I would also say that the Zurcher Jefferson curl is perhaps the most functional lift I have ever done. In real life, we hold things in awkward ways and we can't always get our feet directly above or next to them. And so lifting real objects never looks like a deadlift, it looks way more like a Zurcher Jefferson curl. People say, oh no, you're never gonna have to Jefferson curl in real life. Wrong. Just the other day I was on my friend's boat and he needed help picking up the battery from in the hold. So the platform we had to stand on was about 2 feet above where the battery was held, and the battery weighs like 30 kilos. So we're essentially looking at a 30 kilogram, 2-foot deficit Jefferson curl. And guess who was ready to do that lift? Ya boy. I had literally been training for this. But seriously though, I do think it actually helps in lifting real things, because you're always gonna round your back to some extent when you're lifting real things. Another amazing thing that I didn't expect is that the DOMs are amazing. Honestly, you won't believe me until you try it. But like the feeling of doing a hard set of these, especially with the Zercher hold, is just incredible. You feel it from the base of your neck all the way down to your hamstrings. And honestly, I've never felt anything quite like it. When I would do sets of deadlifts, of course I could use a lot more weight, but I'd sort of finish the sets feeling like my back was like about to buckle, not that it was actually strong. But when I finish a set of Jefferson curls, my back feels mobile, strong, and just powerful. It's awesome. With Jefferson curls, I feel like my back can reach technical failure with a weight that it can actually support, rather than something like a deadlift where it's actually way too heavy to just lift with my back. And so the risk of suddenly overloading it feels worse. So those are the things I really like about training the Jefferson curl. Now let's talk about the things that weren't so good. First of all, it takes patience, like a lot of patience. This is not a lift that you're just gonna start in one session and immediately get up to your working weight and then just go from there. No, if you've never done Jefferson curls before, then you're probably drastically undertrained in your range of motion. Just think about it. There are 33 vertebrae in your spine. Each of them is like its own little joint. And then you also have the hips involved. So you're basically moving 34 different joints through a maximal range of motion. You're gonna have a lot of weak points in this, and you don't wanna discover that by overshooting it and getting injured quickly. So patience is key on this. I started at body weight and increased by 2 kilograms, never skipping a single step. So it took me a very long time to get from 0 kilograms to 46 kilograms, but I did get there. So you're gonna spend a lot of time sort of conditioning your spine to move well under load, and it won't feel like strength training when you're doing that. But eventually it will, and it's so worth the wait. Second negative thing is I find the Zercher hold a little bit awkward, especially in the bottom position. In the first 3 weeks of working this, I did sort of tweak my upper trapezius, kind of in the neck area, a little bit from this. It kind of felt like I had just sort of slept badly and woke up like on the wrong side of the bed and just had a little bit of a stiff neck for a day or two. But with a bit of rest and recovery, it was fine. And now 2 months have passed, I've drastically increased the weight and it hasn't happened anymore. But it's something to be careful of. The Zercher hold, if you've never practiced it before, especially as it goes from down here to all the way up there, it does feel a little bit weird. It takes time, but it's totally worth it. The third negative thing is not so much a problem with the Jefferson curl itself, but more like what's lacking if you do work on Jefferson curls. I haven't found an exercise that quite works the antagonist muscles in the same way. If there was a way to do like a reverse Jefferson curl, I think that would be incredible, but you'd have to like hang upside down and fix your feet to a bar or something, and then basically do like a sit-up. I haven't figured out a way to do this. What I do instead is do wheel presses. So this does a good job of fully extending your spine, but it doesn't work the anterior chain nearly as much as I'd like. So I'll give you the final verdict here. Honestly, I think the Jeff curl is a very top tier exercise. I'd say that it's highly likely to be useful for a huge population of people watching this video, both lifters and non-lifters alike. It's super unlikely that you're already really strong and robust in the type of way that the Jefferson curl can train you to be. Personally, I'm gonna keep these in my program for a long time. I'm really motivated right now by the goal of being able to hit bodyweight Jefferson curls for reps, so I'm gonna keep training until I can do that. After that, I'll probably alternate between Jefferson curls and Romanian deadlifts as ways to work on my posterior chain, with the back focus in the case of Jeff curls and with the leg focus in the case of the RDL. So very excited to continue getting strong with this for years to come. So I hope this was helpful for you. Thanks for watching. If you like this, give it a like and subscribe to support the channel and get more content like this. If you're interested in more long form content, you can check out my newsletter. And if you want to chat with me or ask me any questions about your own training, you can send me a DM on Twitter. I'd love to hear from y'all. And let us know what your experience is, good or bad, with the Jefferson curl in the comments below. Thanks so much, stay strong, and have a great day.